these kids are really injured. So 50%. So good luck out there. And this is not something that you're ever going to hear from the medical establishment. And I think it's our most crucial issue. It's the biggest issue facing our country, is the safety and the protection of our children. There's nothing more important than this.
Rob, were you aware of the bill that passed last year? That it was Bill AB 499 that was sort of allowing children ages 12 and up to consent.
Okay, well, this is another thing that's something out of like Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
The fact that a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old can be shown some video about how cool with some popular music and MTV backgrounds and stuff. Hey, it's cool to get this shot, and then then they can get this Gardasil shot, which has been proven to have. I mean, I got some information. First of all, if you're not sure what this Gardasil shot is for the HPV, and there's dubious science connecting HPV to cervical cancer. First of all, HPV is basically genital warts. 70% of this clears up without any medications, without anything in a normal immune system, and 90% clears up 3 years after contact. Okay, so if you have a normal immune system, this is absolutely not an issue. Now, before they had clung to that this was something that causes cancer, they were saying that the herpes virus causes cancer. The same group of people. They're just trying to, they're just lunging and trying to find something that's unscientific. So now here's the thing about the Gardasil shot. The viruses that are covered, supposedly, the 2 viruses that are covered in the shot, I forget the names of the numbers of the 2 viruses that for the HPV shot, are not connected, and there's no association to the ones protecting in the Gardasil shot to the one that they're claiming causes cancer, which I think is HPV 26. That's not in the shot. So again, this is just lunacy. And now they want to give it to boys. Now I've met vaccine-injured, brain-injured children from this. The first set of shots that they get makes their immune system weakened, and then they get fevers, whatever. The second shot can cause brain inflammation and brain damage. And I've sat and I've talked to mothers of children who've been brain damaged from this. So, I mean, this is beyond lunacy. Again, it's dubious science. There's nothing backing it up, and it is nothing but a money grab. And they're trying to, I mean, in the state of Texas, thank God people backed away from it. They're overstepping their bounds so much that finally parents are waking up and saying, this is insane.
Right.
First of all, boys are not, there's no danger for boys. Why, so even if you believe that this causes cervical cancer, which we can show you that it doesn't,
right.
Just go see Dr. Whitaker, Whittaker, at the Wellness Institute, Whitaker Wellness Institute, Newport Beach, California, and he has information there to show you that there is no correlation, and he'll show you the dangers of the Gardasil shot. Do not allow your children to get this shot.
No, yeah, I agree. We have on our show quite frequently a young girl, she's 19, and she was very severely damaged by the Gardasil vaccine. And she's not able to walk, Rob. She had the first shot she got when she was 14 years old. So 5 years she's been struggling with her immune system, and she's just been through the ringer. I mean, she's very smart. She hasn't lost any cognitive function, but her health has been staggering. I mean, if she gets a flu, she gets any kind of minor cold, she gets back, she's bedridden for months.
What happens is, most people don't realize, when I say neurological damage, what basically your brain is your nerve center. But every nerve and anything that has feelings, all your muscles, all the way to your toes, every part of your body, those are all brain. These are neurological nerve endings, nerve brain. So what happens is when they come into contact with nerve-damaging things like aluminum, like formaldehyde, and especially a neurotoxin, nerve toxin, like mercury, I've actually seen it under a microscope where it retards and actually kills it on contact. So she has regressive nerve damage to a real extent. So that's something that's in her case, it's not going to be reversible. You're going to have to control it the best that you can. And so this is something like when you meet people like yourself, when you meet Don Winkler, who's one of the vice chairs for the National Vaccine Information Center, Teresa Wrangham, from the executive director of the National Vaccine Information Center, Barbara Lowe Fisher from the National Vaccine Information Center. Our only goal is this: information, protect your child, and know that we don't want this to ever happen to another child. That's why I'm talking to you now, and that's why you're talking to me. That's why we're talking about this issue. That's why, whether you live in the state of California or not, because fortunately or unfortunately, California leads the nation in some legislations, whether it's positively with like having a higher miles per gallon for your car, cleaner air standards that will go across the country. Unfortunately, in this case, this horrible legislation, AB 2109, restricting parents' rights and endangering children and coercing them and with government coercion to prevent them from going to school if they don't get these shots, and also costing the parents money. Every time, here's another thing we haven't touched on yet. This is just why this bill is so bad, April. There is nothing in this bill from Assemblyman Pan, who is just, this guy is, I really have learned to dislike this guy and think he is a bad person, because there's nothing in this bill that prevents doctors, pediatricians from kicking out families and children who decide to opt out of the normal vaccine schedule. And again, the normal vaccine schedule now in the state of California, 46 shots, 46 doses, 14 different vaccines before the age of 6, only because it's convenient for the doctors and the pharmaceutical industry and their profit margins. So, and we have lists of people, of doctors who will not see you. They say, if you're not going to agree with the vaccine schedule, we won't take you on as a patient. And if you already are an existing patient and you have another kid, let's say you have, like yourself, a vaccine-injured child, the next kid that you bring into the fold, you say, I don't want to have all these, or I want to stagger the shots. If you even decline one, they'll kick you out of the program. And we have proof of that. And we have, from the state of Washington, we're compiling lists now, that Don Winkler has lists from the state of Washington, of pediatricians that are kicking families, kicking children out of their family practice.
Well, to get even more Nazi Germany, there are people who go in and they refuse, they say they don't want to have their child vaccinated, and the doctor will call child services on them. And so then
that is absolutely lunacy. I mean, I've even heard, like in Vermont, where they made children come into court and get shots in court. I mean, that's just, I mean, this is Nazi Germany. This is what we're dealing with. We have to, in some ways, April, sometimes you have to question it and you go like, is this crazy? Am I just being overreactive, or is this like the craziest thing in our lifetime? And I just remember, like, one of the lucky things I've been able to do is being able to travel around and talk to people and go to places. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been traveling a lot the last few years, performing all over the United States and all over the world. And I went to the Historical Museum in Atlanta, and I saw just a one-on-one interview outside of Martin Luther King Jr. And the one white reporter asked him, he said, like, what has surprised you about this civil rights movement? And he said something that really shook me, and I've never forgotten. He said, the most surprising thing to me was the overwhelming good amount of people who stood by and did nothing. And so that's what we're talking about here. We need people to stand up and to call Governor Edmund G. Brown Jr. in the state of California. His number again, 916-445-2841. 916-445-2841. And just hang on there, because there's a lot of people calling now. But hang in there and tell them this bill is against parental rights, and this is against child safety, and this needs to be vetoed. And I know he's on the fence. I've talked to his office every day. I call. And there's nothing more important than you could spend with a few minutes of your time, listeners, and just call up and oppose this legislation.
Yes, absolutely. And I thank you so much for being on the show, Rob. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know we've been talking for almost 30 minutes now, and I really appreciate you doing this. I think that those of us in the community who have vaccine-injured children, or who have, in Dawn's case, lost a child, it means a lot to us, and we are being kind of wanting someone such as yourself to come out and tell the truth about this, because I know people know, and a lot of them are afraid, and I understand why. It's very controversial. But you're right, it's the most important thing we can do. It
is, and people have to stand up and speak up. And I'll tell you what's an inspiration is when you meet people like Don Winkler, and I talk to people like yourself, when you meet families, and when you meet the children, these beautiful children who can't express themselves verbally as they'd like to, and you give them a hug, and you know that it's easy to become a warrior in the fight to protect children. There's nothing more important that you could spend your time doing. And if anything, if I've been very lucky in my life to have whatever success I've been given, I really feel like if I can help bring attention to this, maybe that's the reason that it all started. So again, I thank you for your time, and please educate yourselves, for your listeners out there. Educate yourselves. There's some great information out there. The National Vaccine Information Center will give you information, and there are also pediatricians out there that are willing to, if you want to vaccinate your kids, to stagger the shots, and there are also very good pediatricians out there who are willing to work with you and say no. And so, I mean, it's not like the medical establishment is evil. It's not like it's all us against them. It's just that they're indoctrinated into a system, a broken system that needs to get changed. And this is part of the change. And I think, April, this is the civil rights movement, and this is 1954. Yeah. And Rosa Parks just got kicked off the bus. So we're 11 years until we finally break the hold that the medical establishment and the pharmaceutical establishment has on us. And just to give you one more little statistic, over 200,000 deaths a year are attributed to pharmaceutical drugs. And this is the $500 billion a year we spend on pharmaceutical drugs. Once you put up doctor accidents, once you put up diseases that are contacted through immunological deficiencies in the hospital, the number one cause of death in America by far is medicine. And so it's a staggering, stunning statistic, and it's factual. And these are Centers for Disease Control, Massachusetts Institutes from Health. These are their statistics. So it's about educating yourself, get old people off prescription drugs, and take control of your own health. Because what's going to happen now, as if we continue going this unhealthy way, we're going to have more and more millions of children that are injured. We're going to have more and more obesity, and we're going to have continued. I mean, our society will no longer. You won't recognize America in 10 years as the America that you see now. It's frayed. We're on a tipping point here, and the most important thing we can do is protect our children. So again, thank you for your time. Please call the governor. Again, that number is 916-445-2841. And thank you for spending your time and trying to protect the children of other families out there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, so much.
Okay, take care, April.
Okay, bye.
Bye.